they have heard the feedback and they're going to make changes to fire weapons. At least we hope that's what they're going to do. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. So, Arrowhead have actually spoken out on the state of the flame weapons in the game. I mean, it is kind of ridiculous that they didn't even know this would be an issue before, you know, launching a flame war bond. You would think that anyone with any sense of sort of like, you know, maybe we want to sell some of these war bonds. Let's make flame weapons fun to use. So maybe people buy super credits to buy the war bond. But they just went completely the opposite direction and they gutted flame weapons. Of course, the insane thing is they didn't even have to change flame weapons. They could have just left them as they were. And I think this war bond would have been fine. But no, as we know, flame weapons, essentially, when you're firing at armor, the flame will deflect off the armor, so it won't penetrate beyond the armor, which it used to do, obviously, against chargers. And also, it hits the first target and doesn't go beyond that. So this means that you can't just absolutely hose down a massive load of Terminids running towards you. You'll only kill the first Terminid, which then means that the rest of the Terminids all just run into you and kill you. Anyway, it's crap. The flame weapons just literally don't work. Arrowhead need to revert it, so hopefully they do. But anyway, this is what they say, and we're also going to cover a bunch of stuff in this video because there's been quite a bit of news flying around as of the update today. Oh yes, look at this. This is my new mouse mat. Oh yes, check this out. Look at the detail on this. I'm going to just move it across the screen slowly so you guys can see it. Look at that. It is a Helldivers inspired mouse mat. It's crazy. I mean, look at that little Easter egg on the marine in the middle. The detail on this is phenomenal. The quality is insane. Check it out. There's a link in the video description below if you want to buy it. Literally, this is the best like customized thing I own. And I'm going to be shilling this for a while. But if you guys want to support me in the channel, then go and check it out. There's a link in the video description below. And oh my god, it is so good. Look at that. Look at that. Anyway, let's get on with the video. Yeah. So this pops up over on the Discord, and Baskinator, I think the head community manager, says, "We've heard your feedback about our change to fire and how it has affected flamethrowers, and we appreciate our community's continued honesty about how they feel about Helldivers too. We're now having a lot of internal discussions about the best course of action. We've also introduced a new poll in player polls about the escalation of freedom, so please weigh in there as well. In the meantime, we don't want to go back on our promise of a new war bond, so here it is, flames and all. Freedom's flame is now live." So, okay, they're having discussions, again, discussions on discussions on discussions. I mean, I don't even know what, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, right? Helldivers is a game that is built on the power fantasy of the weapons. You use the weapons, you need to feel powerful. It doesn't feel like that's been the balanced direction since the game has launched, though, really. I mean, nerfing the flame weapons, it doesn't feel great, and it's not even a nerf of just reducing the damage of the weapons. It's changing the way they function, and that feels absolutely horrendous to people who were using those weapons. And of course, there's a whole catalogue of changes that we've had since, well, since February, really, that we could go back on and start digging up God knows whatever out of the basement and throwing that up to the front and going, what have you done here, Arrowhead? But I think the fact remains, the weapons need to be fun, and at the moment, they're really failing to deliver on that, and it's got to be a major issue, and they really need to sort this out, honestly, because this game will live and die on how fun the weapons are to use. And at the moment, yeah, there's a problem, a big, big problem. So let's take a look at this player poll. This has to be the most meaningless player feedback I've ever seen in my life. Look at this question. How do you feel about the escalation of freedom update as a whole? It's good, it's bad, I'm neutral. Right, let me break this down for you. Escalation of Freedom is a pretty light content update, but it's been packaged in a way that it appears as if there's a ton of content coming to the game. Now, there is new enemies. This is good, right? I think the new super bloody walker for the bots is annoying, although pro tip, shoot the rockets on the side of it and it blows up and dies. So yeah, it's annoying because it can one-shot you from across the map, but it is actually easier to kill than the standard walker. So yeah, don't worry about that Scout Strider. But yeah, I think everything else, it's a good addition. I like the new difficulty. It's the only difficulty that I'm playing on. I'm really enjoying it. I like the new massive mega hives and the big bases. They're really fun. I think the item that you get, like, so for the bugs, you get like an egg and you get like a head for an automaton. It just gives you a bunch of super samples and rare samples. It's kind of not really worth the hassle of running it back to the drop zone. But if you want to do it, yeah, it's okay. I think they need to increase the reward there. But I think that's fine. That's good. So in terms of escalation of freedom, yeah, it's good. And also, by the way, the performance is fucking awesome. Whatever they've done to the game, they've made the performance great. Yeah. Now, what is bad? Well, the badness is again, the balanced direction of the weapons. The weapons don't feel impactful. You've gutted flame weapons. You're making changes that don't make any sense. And I think anyone can see that they look really odd and really weird. And it looks like when they've got these massive patch notes coming through, things are getting snuck in and maybe they're not being tested properly, or it's not even about testing. It's about, guys, should we really be reducing the effectiveness of an entire family of weapons? And then this leads you into the whole thing of what the hell is the balance philosophy of this game? We thought when Johan stepped down to become the chief creative officer, things were going to change. He even said as much on Twitter, but it looks like things are not really changing in that department. So what are you doing, Arrowhead? I'm confused as a player, and this makes me actually want to play the game less because I'm not having as much fun with the weapons. I want the weapons to all feel fun and all feel powerful, not just buffing a weapon because no one's using it or nerfing a weapon because everyone's using it, because that is not the way this should be done. They're also asking for more player feedback. Again, this is a bit of a weird one. They really heavily rely on Discord, it seems, for player feedback. And I think they're having a bit of an issue internally collating this feedback and actually getting it into a usable state. Because I think sometimes these development studios can get into their own little bubble, their own little world, and they don't really look out of it too much. So while they're working on their thing, yeah, and then things can go wrong. And maybe if they get put out into the public, they're not actually going to perform as they intended. Now, we do know that Shams, the new CEO, actually said one of the things on their list of, well, their wish list is to get a PTR or some sort of public test server. So maybe they can put these updates out and have the public test them, or even just a wider group of play testers pick them up and test them to see if they feel good or bad. Because at the moment, they don't have that, and they're just launching the game, launching the updates based off what they've been doing internally. They think it's fine, and within minutes, people are finding things are just broken, they don't work, or they've got really serious reservations about the balance direction. So this player form, it's a bit weird. So what they say is this. What's this? A player feedback form. It is, I'm not going to read through this, but basically you can tell what they're trying to do here is, again, get a bit more detailed feedback. I don't know why this isn't a Google form. I mean, I assume it's just because they want people linked to Discord, so this will probably track your Discord account. So if you click the link, you will go through to this dino.gg. It will ask you to link your Discord, and then you can fill out the form and give them feedback if you like. But be aware, this is going to track your Discord account and all of that. So probably the reason why they're not using Google Forms, because it's a bit more anonymous. But yeah, they're looking for more feedback. But I mean, to be honest, do you really need to look for feedback? It's obvious what the issues are in the game. Or maybe they just don't see them, which I think is becoming increasingly clear. This is a fake tweet, but it made me laugh. It's over off on the Reddit, and it says, John Helldiver, the Arrowhead guy, says, too many players have been found having fun. Is this a problem? Yes. We've reduced fun from 6 to 4 and increased frustration from 28 to 41. Obviously taking the piss out of their balanced comments and balanced direction. We also get this on Reddit. So this is survivorship bias. Don't worry, I'll explain this, but it's kind of easy to understand. So this poster says, hey, Arrowhead, for no reason whatsoever, how would you armor up the pictured plane? For context, the red dots show where planes that managed to survive and get back to base were hit by enemy fire. Now, before I explain this, I'm sure a lot of you guys have picked up on what's going on here. Now, the issue with this and why it's called survivorship bias is these are the planes that actually returned. So these planes didn't get shot down. These are not the planes you should be looking at as to where to put additional armor on the plane. You should be looking at the planes that were shot down, but of course you don't have them. So if you look at this, you go, oh my god, they've been shot on the wingtips, sort of in the middle of the fuselage and on the back of the plane. Pile the armor on there. And not actually, you know, on the engines maybe, which have probably been blown to shit on the planes that are all destroyed. Again, here's a Wikipedia example. So, a popular visual representation of survivorship bias, the diagram shows where returning World War II era planes were hit, suggesting that the red clusters should be reinforced, exemplifies survivorship bias, as the only planes that didn't crash were analysed. So the whole thing with this is it's just taking the piss out of Arrowhead. You know, their balance seems to be, they look at a weapon and they go, too many people are using this weapon. Instead of asking, why are people using this weapon? Is it because it's fun? Is it because it feels powerful? They're going, no, we're going to bring this weapon down to the weapons that we've got in our spreadsheet and keep everything together through nerfing the weapons. That's not the answer. The answer is to look at the other weapons and go, no, we need to buff them to make them actually work just as effective as those weapons. Here's a question I'll ask you guys. When's the last time you used an assault rifle? Like, when is the last time you used an assault rifle that wasn't the sickle? I mean, I don't, or maybe the adjudicator, right? Which I guess was a battle rifle but changed to an assault rifle. There's so many weapons in this game that are just not used. They could actually give us a balance or even a content update by just buffing the weapons. In fact, if I was Arrowhead, I'd be actually internally lobbying for just a pass of, like, we've got escalation of freedom. We should have, like, Helldivers 2, escalation of firepower or freedom's firepower or something like that. And it's literally just everything gets buffed. The damage is ridiculous. The weapons that are strong, keep them strong, but bring everything up to those levels. I think people will get a renewed interest in the game because we just want to blow shit up, right? That's the whole reason we play the game. So this here, I'm actually going to defend the devs here because this is kind of just picking out stats to attack people. So this post says, I just want to know. And it's a tweet or a screenshot of a tweet from Shams, of course, the CEO. He says, some are going buff everything. Others are saying other things. It's too easy. Most are in-game just playing. Every new big update requires a bit of playtime before we know which direction to fine-tune things. Appreciate the patience. And shows a graph of SteamDB, which shows concurrent player numbers in the game. And actually, before we just go on to this image, I think one of the issues here as well, which I haven't really touched on in this video, is this idea of buff everything and things are too easy. The thing is, if you're buffing the weapons, that's fine. And yeah, that will be easier to kill the enemies, but killing the enemies feels fun. You've got to work out other ways of creating enemies that are interesting to kill or increasing the number of enemies that we face to make the difficulty higher. That's what they should be doing. They shouldn't be balancing difficulty based on weapon strength. It should be on enemy strength and how the enemies interact with the player and on level design as well. But anyway, so this user obviously has made a crazy meme and says, oh, the CEO uses fancy Steam charts to pretend everything is normal and fine. Wait, what's that graph in the corner? What is that graph in the corner? Now, that graph in the corner, let me show you this. This is that graph in the corner, but it is also with Apex Legends and Overwatch 2. And the reason why I'm going to show you this is kind of following the natural flow of most games when they come out. Apex is a little bit different because obviously we're not including the launch of Apex in this graph because it would be a lot higher because I think it got over, did it get like 600,000? Yeah, so you can see it's 624,000. That was 1.5 years ago, so that would have been its peak. Now, the reason why I've got Overwatch on there, because that sort of serves as a baseline, you can see marginal increases on Overwatch's player base where it goes up a little bit and then it sort of drops down to a new normal. Now, the new normal is higher than the old normal after an update. Now, obviously, with that game, it has a seasonal update every 12 weeks or so, 9 to 12 weeks. It has an update, and that is a new character sometimes every other season, but it'll be some sort of new content which brings players back to the game. Helldivers, though, is the blue line, and look at Helldivers. It has had a massive peak where everyone was like absolutely crazed about the game. And then we kind of started running out of content. And then we had all of the issues, the patches, the PSN, everything else. And you can see it starts dropping down and down and down and down and down. Now, I haven't actually zoomed in here on the graph. So what I'm going to do is bring up the picture we just had up. Because if you look at what Shams was actually tweeting out, this shows you an increase in players based on what their old baseline was. So in a way, this patch has done well. It's actually increased the player base. The question will be, though, how long... We'll get this off the screen and you can just see whatever the hell's going on in this game. The question will be is, like, how does it maintain that? Will it go up from a new sort of average? Or will it just go back down to the old average of players? If it goes back down to the old average, then they've got they've got problems. If it goes below, then they've got serious problems. But I do think if I was to step back from this and I was Arrowhead, I'd go, okay, this is definitely a better way of updating the game because we can create hype, we can create a moment where players come back. We tease new enemies, new content in a slick dev video. We've got a new war bond coming and we're going to do balance changes. Yeah. Problem has been with the deployment of this is the balance changes on the whole were kind of okay, but gutting the way flame weapons work when you've got a flame war bond coming out and you're also getting the most eyes on your game you've had on for a while means that you're actually shooting yourself in the foot because people don't want the war bond, the weapons don't function correctly, the flamers feel terrible, and it's just very odd, really, really odd. Like it's almost like a case study in how not to update your game. It's like 80% there, 20% bad, and that 20% is really causing issues with the player base. So no doubt if you've been watching here in this video, my team have left me. They've left me. I'm literally on my own. I'm like, what is going on here? I'm not having this. I'm going to finish this mission. So I waited for new players to arrive. And you're damn right, I got that reinforcement off there. I managed to get another player down who actually then got killed. And then he managed to drop a player down because they were trying to get the samples back. That player managed to, I think, get the samples. But then I think maybe drop the samples. Something bad happened. Anyway, that player managed to extract, and you're damn right I finished this mission. I was not going to let this mission fail. So what if everybody left? No, we're going to stay the course. We're going to do it for democracy. We're going to make it happen. And we did. All right, guys, thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed that. Oh, and remember, I've got this mouse mat available, which is actually sick. There's a link to it in the video description below. It's an extra large mouse mat with some custom artwork that's inspired by Helldivers 2. It's not technically Helldivers 2, you know, copyright, but it is inspired by Helldivers 2. and it's so good. It's really good. It's the best quality mouse mat I've ever had. I'm going to say that because it's sort of my mouse mat, but it looks sick. Go and check it out. If you want to pick one up, like I said, there's a link in the video description below. All right, guys, thank you for watching today's video. I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.